Hello and welcome to my presentation on Askham Bryan College Equine Department at Stewart's Park in Middlesbrough. Askham Bryan College is the largest specialised land-based college. There's 6 locations across the north of England, and Stewart's Park in Middlesbrough is one of those. So today I am going to talk you through the level 2 and level 3 equine courses that we run based from our Stewart Park campus, and we also use a local yard near Stokesley to which we go a few days a week using a college minibus. It's about a 10-minute journey. I'm going to go through the entry requirements, the equipment and resources that we have, and the equipment and resources that you would need if you did an equine course with us. And I'm going to talk about the different trips and guest speakers that we have, and also what a course in equine would progress to. So if I start with the level 2 equine course, on the screen there we have a list of the modules that are studied. The level 2 equine course is a 1-year course. It is a mix of practical and theory. There is a health and safety unit. We teach that at the beginning of the year, and there is a multiple choice exam on the health and safety side of things. We have a health unit, which is a mix of practical and theory, where we look at different diseases and disorders. We practically health check horses, taking their temperature, pulse and respiration. We learn how to administer first aid, how to deal with wounds, and that sort of thing. There's a tack and equipment unit, so that's everything from boots and bandages, saddles, bridles, rugs. There is a routine stable duties module, so students are expected to do some stable duties while they're at the yard, so we can check their mucking out skills and sweeping and tack cleaning and the other important jobs that need doing at the yard. There's a feeding and watering unit. This is practical, so you'll be doing things like weighing feeds, identifying feeds, mixing them up in buckets and giving them to horses, looking at different watering systems, filling up hay and haylage nets, weighing them, and some classroom work on the nutrients and the horse's digestive system. We also use maths to calculate rations for different types of horses. There is a handling and grooming unit, so that involves how to control a horse in different situations, such as holding a horse for a vet, trotting it up in hand, leading a difficult horse to a field. We look at the different methods that can be used, and the grooming involves clipping, trimming, plaiting, as well as brushing the horses. There is an introduction to lunging unit. There is a picture there on the screen of one of our students lunging Jilly there. So students generally quite enjoy that module. There's a riding horses under supervision module. We do expect applicants to have a certain level of riding ability before they come on the course, but we'll look at that a bit later on. And there's an anatomy and physiology unit as well, which is very theoretical. It covers the different systems of the horse, the parts of the horse, so looking at the skeleton, being able to name the different bones in the horse. And we do try to make it a little bit practical as well. So we might paint the horses or stick labels on the horses, or we might discuss the anatomy and physiology as we're riding them as well. There is a work experience module, which requires students to do 315 hours of work placement. So that's about 2 days a week of work placement at an equine yard. We have to check the yards for suitability before a student can start. So we do encourage students to find their own work placements. And if you are stuck, then we can help, and we do have lists and contacts. But we do like students to make the approach themselves so that employers can interview or have people on trial, so that there is a good match between the student and the yard. So just moving on to the level 3. So the level 3 is a 2-year course. A lot of the module titles look the same, and a lot of the things that are covered in the level 2 are covered on the level 3, but in a greater level of depth, and the practical skill requirements are higher. So again, we would expect some significant experience with horses before starting this course. So health and safety, again, same as the level 2, we teach that at the beginning, and there's a multiple choice test. There is a health unit where we look at a wide range of diseases and disorders. We usually allocate students 2 horses to regularly health check, one being a fluffy woolly pony that lives out, which might be prone to certain health conditions, and the other a horse in work that's stabled, has been clipped, and might be prone to having a different set of health conditions. So you do get a wide variety of experience, and we're very lucky that we have access to a very wide range of horses, all of which have great temperaments, so we are very lucky. Again, there's a tack and equipment module focusing on the competition side of things. So we look at show jumping, dressage, cross country, and look at all the different tack and equipment and relate that to the rules of competition. There's a yard operations module, which is yard management basically. We do quite a bit of theory on that, so how to run a yard, how to do record keeping, and that kind of thing. So the manager of the yard teaches that unit, so the teacher has a lot of first-hand experience on how to do it, and students have access to all the to most of the records that are available and help to complete them and fill them in. And when we do yard duties, one of the students is the yard manager, and we change every week who's the yard manager, and we give them a list of jobs to do on the yard, and they've got to allocate those jobs, keep the team motivated, make sure they meet deadlines, check everything's done properly, keep an eye on health and safety. So doing yard duties, but also managing them as well. The feeding and nutrition unit is quite sciencey, so we do obviously the practical feeding side, but we spend a lot of time on the theory for this one, so looking at in depth at all the nutrients, looking in depth at the horse's digestive system, and we look at all the nutritional problems that plague horses. We do a lot of rationing, so good math skills are needed for that one. We have a prepare horses for presentation, so that's getting horses ready for the different competitive disciplines. So that includes sort of your trimming and your plaiting and clipping and bathing and washing. There's an exercising horses unit. So for this one, you would need to, the module is split up into 4 components. So there's a riding horses on the flat, there's riding horses over poles in preparation for jumping, there is riding out in the open in the fields, and riding horses out on the roads. For the level 2, there's a riding unit as well, covering the same sort of things, but not to as high a level as the level 3. There's a biology unit where we look at all the different systems of the horse, so the circulatory system, musculoskeletal system, respiratory system. We have a science lab at Stuart Park, and we use that to look at the internal organs, and we do some dissections, some microscope work. The biology is assessed separately. It has its own exam. There is a behaviour and welfare unit. We usually go on a trip to the RSPCA at Fell Edge to look at the horses that have come into welfare and that are being rehabilitated to be rehomed. So that's very interesting for the students to watch and learn from. We look at a lot of scientific studies on horse behaviour. We look at how the horse has evolved, how its behaviours have evolved, and then relate that to how horses learn. So then linking to how we can train them, and then looking at the problems we commonly find with behaviour in horses, and where those where that problem behaviour comes from and how we can avoid it. Again, students need to complete 315 hours of work placement, and alongside the work placement for level 2 and level 3, diaries have to be kept. We do things like CV writing, letters of application, and different things like that. So that is a very important module. So for both the level 2 and the level 3, they are assessed at pass, merit or distinction. Oops. It's jumped forward. Apologies, I'll go back. So yeah, assessed at pass, merit or distinction. There on the level 2 and the level 3, there is an exam. And we do lots of mocks in preparation for that, and there is also coursework. The coursework consists of written and practical tasks that are supervised, and they are done within college. The practical tasks we do lots of practice for, and when the students do practical tasks, they have to verbalise what they're doing and why as they go along. But we do lots and lots of practicing for that, and it does become second nature. Excuse me. So in terms of expectations, what should you expect from the equine team at Askham Bryan? Well, you should expect high quality lessons from industry professionals. So all the tutors on the equine team here are working in the equine industry as well, actively working. Our riding tutors are British Horse Society qualified. They have extensive experience at teaching and coaching, so you will find that the lessons are high quality. You should expect regular homework and private study, and you should expect lots of practice, tests and assessments to make sure you do really, really well in the coursework and the exams. You do, of course, get lots of feedback and help from the tutors. And in return, we expect full attendance. So attendance is key. It's really important that attendance is high, and that homework is done and completed and handed in to make sure you get the best grades that are possible. Okay, so the entry requirements for the level 2, it's 4 GCSEs, a minimum grade of 3, preferably including English, maths and science. So on a level 2 course, you would expect to carry on with English and maths, and do a GCSE in those through the year. We expect a reference, and on the equine courses, we do like applicants to attend a preview day, which includes a basic riding and horse care assessment, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. For the level 3, We expect English, Maths and Science at grade 4 plus one of the GCSE at grade 4. Again, a suitable reference and attendance at preview day. If you show quite a high level of practical skill and horse knowledge and have applied for the level 3, but you just miss out on your English and Maths, then we can look at resitting, or we do have an in-between course, a level 3, which has just a couple of modules less with a Maths or an English resit. So if you just miss out on an English or Maths grade, it's worth contacting us and discussing with us straight away so that we can match you to the right course. So I mentioned preview days and riding assessment. So what is it? It's an informal day at the yard. And we have as many applicants as have applied come to the yard. We run a couple of them through the year. We have you there from about 10 till 2, and we do a classroom lecture. We show you how to do some basic horse care tasks, and then you do it. And then from that we can just see what you like around the horses, your manner around the horses, what you like at following instruction and that kind of thing. We also do a riding assessment for those wanting to do the riding units. The riding assessment at level 2, you should have experience riding quiet riding school horses, or those type of horses in walk and trot, and be able to do a rising trot and stay balanced. And ideally you should be able to canter as well, and stay in control. For the level 3, you should be a reasonably established rider. You should look confident and be fully in control on a quiet horse in walk, trot and canter, ready to learn how to work the horse into a contact and school it and what have you. And you might already be at that level, you might be just before that level, and that's okay. So that's the idea of the riding assessment, is to look at that. So it's just about 20 minutes on a horse. There is a weight limit of 14 stone or 89 kilos, so do bear that in mind as well. So what do our current students have to say? At the top there we've got Zara, who is an Equine level 3 year 1 student. I'll just give you a minute to have a read of what she has to say. And then at the bottom there we've got Beth, who is just finishing off her year 2. And on the year 2 of the level 3, the modules are a little bit more specialised. So Beth has done a fitness module, a coaching module where she's learned how to teach other people how to ride. She's done a rehabilitation and therapy unit, a business unit and an event management unit. So what does a typical week look like? So it works out at about 3 days a week in timetable sessions, 2 days a week work placement, and I would say it's usually around about 50% yard, 50% classroom. So on yard days we get on the minibus 10 minutes down the road and go to the yard. There is a classroom at the yard, and there is a social area, and there is a kitchen with microwave, fridge, kettle, and we have a tuck shop as well. It's an extremely friendly yard, extremely accommodating, a wide range of equipment and resources, a wide range of lovely horses. The college day typically starts at 9 o'clock and finishes at 4:15. There's dinner and short breaks throughout the day. And your timetable will include additional subjects such as maths and English, upskilling, employability, one-to-one student appraisal sessions and that kind of thing. And the brilliant thing about Equine at Middlesbrough is it's quite a small team. We usually have, you know, small groups of students of about 12, and you get a lot of one-to-one attention, which is really good. So the facilities at Stuart Park, you can see that we have obviously classrooms, we have recreational rooms and a cafe. At the yard, here's just some pictures from the yard. It's, you know, a normal working yard. It's a riding school, it's a livery yard. The horses that we have access to, there is, like I've said before, is a wide range. We use horses that are in the riding school, but also we use other horses as well from the working liveries. So there are horses that are out competing quite regularly. We use horses that are quite forward going and quite sensitive, as well as the traditional riding school types that you would expect. Back to Stuart Park again, and as you can see, we've got a library, we have computer rooms and what have you, everything that you would expect. On the course, we do issue an equipment list for the equine courses. The list is quite long because we go out to a yard. We are quite strict about what people wear for safety reasons and so that you're easily identifiable. Staff wear red jackets and students, we like them to be in navy blue. So we do send an up-to-date list just before people start. It is important that you have a current standard riding hat as approved by the British Horse Society. On preview days, we check equipment to make sure it is the right standard, and we do have some equipment that can be borrowed as well. And we do appreciate that equipment for riding is pretty expensive, so I usually secure a discount at a local tack shop just before we start, and also bursaries can be applied for. So we do expect dark coloured plain jumpers. A current standard body protector is needed for going over poles, jumps or riding outside, but isn't mandatory for flat work, but of course you can wear it if you want to. Long riding boots or short boots with chaps for riding. The inside of your lower leg must be protected, and it's not okay to ride in those really chunky boots, like the Dubarry style type of boots. But you can have a separate boot for working on the yard, so your best riding boots don't get too mucky. So a strong sturdy boot for yard work, not wellies, they're too soft if a horse stands on your toe. It doesn't have to be a steel toe cap boot either, it just needs to be a strong yard boot. When you ride or lead horses, you have to have gloves on, and for riding you need to have hair secured back in a hairnet. On the yard we go outside whatever the weather, so warm clothes, waterproof jacket, and then for your academic studies you need to have access to paper and writing materials. We have a range of branded clothing, and that's available to order at enrolment. At enrolment we usually lay all the branded clothing out so you can have a look at the sizes so you can order the right size. We have a lot of trips and guest speakers. Our trips vary from year to year. So second year level 3s we usually take to a competition. So we have transported horses down to Northallerton Equestrian Centre for students to compete in the dressage there. We take first years up to Felledge, as I mentioned earlier. Early in the year we offer a trip to Horse of the Year show. For the past 2 years, 2 Horses from the yard that we use have had horses competing there, so we've been able to cheer them on, which was brilliant. The British Horse Society kindly come and do us a welfare day. They bring the weighbridge, and we weigh all the horses on the yard, and we compare the difference between weight tapes and guessing and the weighbridge. Lee Clark, equine physio, usually comes every year to talk us through what he's looking for when he's assessing horses and treating horses. And Melissa Empson, the equine dentist, also talks away around the yard, around the horses and the treatments, plus many more. Angie from Bailey's Horse Feeds always comes and does a wonderful talk on feeding horses with nutritional problems. So we do think it's really important that we interact with employers and professionals from industry as much as possible. We also had somebody who works at the Horse of the Year show come and do a talk this year, which was wonderful and gave us a behind the scenes insight into all that goes on there. Progression opportunities. So if you are successful at level 2, you will come out as a competent groom. Apologies, just move it back. Progression to, and you'd also be able to progress on to a level 3 course. It might be that after level 2 you might consider an apprenticeship or something different like that, or go straight into employment. We do find that many of our equine students are offered employment at their work placement, so it's a really good idea to carefully choose your work placement. Level 3, at the end of the 2-year course, you will have UCAS points should you wish to go and do a degree, and there are equine degrees available at our York campus, but also you could go on to do a completely different degree, and some of our students have gone on to do degrees in healthcare, degrees in marketing and that sort of thing, as well as going some students going to York to do the equine science courses there. Success at level 3 could mean that you could get a job in equine sales, so for a feed company or a tack or equipment company, in retail. A good level 3 student will be a good competition groom, and there are lots of competition groom jobs out there. Training instructors, yard managers, that sort of thing. So there really is a lot of opportunities out there. Here are 2 students that progressed from us last year. So at the top there we've got Abby. Oh dear, it's jumping about. Okay, so we've got Abby. She started her work placement at Nicola Wilson Eventing. Nicola Wilson, who's an Olympic silver medalist, and on completing her course secured a job for Nicola Wilson as an event groom, and that's a picture of Abby there riding her own horse. On the bottom, Hannah is in the black jacket there. So Hannah graduated from a level 3. She is now studying an equine degree at York, and she is on the York University team. So she's doing really well. Okay, so some other information there. Stuart Park, Middlesbrough is a really good location for transport, with a train station nearby and lots of bus routes and what have you. Where are we? And it's not just education, we do try to have fun on the course as well. So a couple of pictures there from our Christmas dressage, where the two students ran a Christmas dressage competition as practice for their event management module, and the year ones were very keen to get dressed up, so they dressed themselves up and the horses up. So we do have a good time on the course as well. And that's the end of my presentation. If you've got any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. My name's Catherine Fairburn, and I'm happy to take any questions. So wishing you the best during this difficult time, and I hope you're all able to keep safe. Thank you.